So here's my guitar, and here's the guitar that Kramer just released. Hi, I'm Jacob Zhang, and I'm a guitarist and producer here in Nashville, and I just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about my guitar and compare it with the one that Kramer just put out a few days ago. If you've been following my channel, which you probably haven't, you would know that I was in the middle of a short video series of putting together this Pacer Deluxe, but also updating it and modifying it to like modern specs and what I think would be cool. I made 3 videos and I never finished them because the original body I bought had a few problems with it that I couldn't continue with. So I got a different body, screwed it up in the painting process, and then I got another body, and that took months and months to finish painting. So I just thought it would be easier to just not do it because it was really confusing. I had to go out of order a few times, so it would have just been hard to watch for people who knew what they were doing. I also thought it would be boring to watch somebody literally watch paint dry and stuff like that, but I did film everything, so if that sounds like something you're interested, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll turn them into full videos and you'll get to watch me fail miserably. Anyways, let's get to the point. So I think somebody at Gibson saw one of my videos because they got a decent amount of views for my channel. I think the first one got 6,000, the other one got 5,000, and that's pretty good for me because I usually don't get any views. But it hit the algorithm. It was a good looking thumbnail, I guess, and I'm not sure, but yeah. I think they saw what I was doing and they used it as inspiration to release a product in the next year or so. There wasn't much of a marketing campaign or a rollout for this guitar, which I thought was kind of weird, but the only reason I found out about it was because I was trying to show my friend this guitar that I made, and I wanted to show him what it was based off of, and after I Google searched Kramer Pacer Deluxe, Sweetwater showed up and it said just listed 2 days ago, and it was pretty close to obviously my guitar, so it made me really question the timing. So as you're watching this, you should know that I'm about to put these points in order from least significant to most significant, in my opinion, just so you can consider that when you're watching this. So obviously, for one, is the look of it. They're very similar at a glance. The headstock's the same, and Kramer had a lot of different headstocks throughout the 80s. They had pointy ones, they had banana ones, and hockey stick ones, and they even had Fender Strat ones. But this is the one that Gibson chose to do, and it's the 1983 headstock. I think they modified their body style a little bit, but it's kind of hard to tell just from looking. And then the most obvious one is the color. Mine's a transparent red, but it looked like they chose to do a metallic red, which would be more faithful to how Kramer actually did it in 1983. They had a few different metallic paint color options. They both have all black knobs and pickups, and they have a matte black acrylic pickguard, which is how they would have done it back in the 80s. Just one ply, too. The painting and the look of it is one thing because you can paint a guitar any color, but what's interesting to me is the mods that they did and how they're similar to mine. So for one, I wanted a compound radius fretboard because it was just like my Wolfgang. Mine is a 12 through 16 inch, and theirs is a 10 through 14 inch. I thought it would be really convenient to put a truss rod adjuster wheel at the heel of the neck, so you didn't have to take the neck off to adjust, and they also did that on theirs. On my guitar, I thought instead of having super hot rodded pickups from the 80s that shred, it would be better to have traditional sounding noiseless Fenders because they're more usable in different styles of music. And Kramer also decided to update their single coils to noiseless, which is their own version of them. And they say they're super hot wound, but nevertheless, they're still noiseless unlike they were before. Now my guitar has 2 knobs instead of 3. I thought that would work better for me and it would get it out of the way, and you don't need the other tone knob anyways. But I can understand why they wouldn't change that on theirs because that's kind of a drastic change if you're trying to be faithful to an original guitar. But what they did change was instead of having a switch here for the coil tap, they did a push-pull pot, which is also what I did. And I just think that's interesting too. But I also completely understand that my guitar and the one Kramer just put out are very different if you really zoom in and look at the specifics of it. For example, their Floyd Rose is floating. Mine isn't. You can only dive. I personally hate a floating tremolo, but most people prefer that, and if you're a company trying to sell a guitar, you'd probably want to do what most people want. Now, one funny thing about this is that they did a 5-bolt heel instead of a traditional neck joint, which is what I actually wanted to do with mine, but I ordered the body and neck from 2 different companies, and it would have been spotty with the measurements, I think, and trying to get them to line up, so I just held off on that. And yeah, I understand the differences, but the spirit of updating an old, obscure guitar that not many people know who it is in the year 2025 is why I'm making this video. I want to make it super clear, I'm not looking for credit. I didn't invent anything. I don't want a pat on the back. I just bought parts online that already exist, and I configured them how I wanted them. These mods are extremely common for builders. You just have to consider the timing of it. Why in 2025 would Gibson release kind of an obscure guitar in an age where shredding's not really popular? This could be completely incorrect and I might be making this up, but it seems to me like the Pacer Deluxe was actually the least popular of all the Pacer models. I've seen so many models of the Pacer by now. There's obviously the Pacer Deluxe, which we've been talking about. And then there's the Imperial, there's the Classic, there's the Pacer Vintage, there's the Carrara, which I don't really know how to pronounce that. And then there's just the Pacer without a name after it. Yeah, there's like a bunch of different versions of this guitar. The timing of this is so strange and random, and after hearing all those points I just tried to make, and also my YouTube series getting a decent amount of views, you have to understand where I'm coming from. The less fun theory of mine is that Fender last summer released the Ultra Luxe Strat, which is spec-wise very similar to this, but I think that was a coincidence. And then Gibson saw that, and they had to compete, so they re-released some of their old guitars. Now there has to be some humor in this, because at the end of the day, I don't really care what any guitar companies do. I have the guitar that I want, and even if that one they just put out, if that came out 3 years ago, I probably still wouldn't have bought it. I'd rather really just build what I want instead. The irony of them allegedly copying me is that initially I copied what they did 42 years ago. Like I said, I don't want credit or money or a pat on the back or anything. I just want to know what other people think, so put your opinion in the comments of what you think happened, and I might be totally full of it, but yeah, let me know what you think.